In our panel, Roger Zakheim is Washington director of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute, Fox News senior political analyst Juan Williams, and Meredith McGraw, White House reporter for The Wall Street Journal. Meredith, let me start with you on this UN Security Council vote. 13-0, Russia, China abstain, but a significant move forward and kind of a big win for the new administration at the UN.
Yeah, this was a big diplomatic victory for the Trump administration, getting this vote.
And maybe specifically for Mike Waltz.
And yeah, specifically for the UN ambassador, Mike Waltz. My colleagues just had a great story in the Wall Street Journal about the back channel efforts that he did behind the scenes to get people on board. And we know Jared Kushner was also involved with some of those efforts at the UN. But, you know, this provides the legal mandate for that peacekeeping stabilization force. There's still a lot of things that need to be negotiated, but this is really seen as a great breakthrough as the Trump administration seeks solutions there.
I mean, Roger, it's supposed to, add legitimacy really to the president's 20-point Gaza plan that was the basis for this ceasefire. That is tenuous, but holding.
Yeah, it's a big deal for the reasons that were just outlined, but also because the president's going to host at the White House tomorrow. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince, MBS, will be in the White House, and the President Trump can look him in the eyes and say, hey, my plan, the 20-point plan, is now the plan that was endorsed by the UN Security Council resolution. You wanted to have a pathway for a Palestinian state before you sign on to the Abraham Accords and recognize Israel as a Jewish state. I've done my part. I'm even going to throw in F-35s. Now do your part. So he's really set the stage here for a very successful diplomatic effort in the Middle East and truly bringing peace there and maybe get the prize he seeks.
The prize, obviously, Juan, is that Abraham Accords on the big scale between Saudi Arabia and Israel, which, as I've talked to the Crown Prince and to the Israeli Prime Minister, they said could change the face of the Middle East. Do you think that what Roger's saying is putting pressure maybe on the Saudi Crown Prince?
Well, I think without a doubt, the Saudi Crown Prince wants those F-35s, and he's got them, from what we heard from the president today. The thing about this is you must remember Israel's long opposed the sale of that kind of advanced weaponry to any other Middle Eastern nation, and even people in our Pentagon have concerns about now the technology going to China. But I think, this is an unlikely affirmation from an unlikely source, the United Nations, giving their approval. They have been critical of Israel's actions during the course of this war with Hamas. So I think this is a big win for President Trump. I guess, Roger, were you referring to the possibility of a Nobel Prize? I mean, maybe. This is a big shift and a big win. I do think that when you have the Saudis visiting, you do have to, again, deal with the idea that, it's 7 years, I think, since he's been here. And there's a reason for that. There's lots of condemnation of the Saudis. And now, for the first time, they have the potential to repair not only their relationship with the United States, but with Israel.
Let's talk about another big shift domestically, and that is the Epstein vote that we expect to happen tomorrow in the House. Take a listen.
We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats.
This isn't a partisan issue. This is about transparency and trying to find the truth for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein.
They're doing this to go after President Trump on this theory that he has something to do with it. He does not.
I would remind my Republican colleagues, in 2030, he's not going to be the president, and you will have voted to protect pedophiles if you don't vote to release these files.
So it's doing a U-turn here, policy-wise, as far as where he was, Meredith.
Yeah, this was a pretty big about-face by the president from how he'd been talking about this vote just a few days prior and what the White House had been doing with House Republicans on the Hill, urging them not to support this, having even Situation Room meetings to push them to vote against this. But I do think it seemed yesterday the train had left the station. A lot of Republicans signaled that they were going to be voting in favor of this discharge petition. And so I think for the president, it sort of saves him from a political embarrassment. And, I also think he sees this as a distraction from the things that the White House and the administration wants to talk about, things like the economy. But it's something that the base feels very strongly about. And so he was moving with them.
He also points out every time, Roger, there's a lot of Democrats involved in this, in these emails and these texts. Washington Post, Epstein texted with House Democrat during the Michael Cohen hearing. talking about the convicted sex offender texting with Democratic member of Congress Delegate Stacey Plaskett of the U.S. Virgin Islands during this hearing and influenced the Congresswoman's questions, the allegation is. Plaskett is seen kind of as real time getting those texts asking the questions, and then he responds, nice job. So there is a lot of this that's going to come out over time, one would think.
Yeah, but I think the president now has put himself in a position where he can go on offense. I mean, that's really, he's been unable to do that with the Epstein file. You know, Justice Brandeis famously said sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I think the president's going to benefit from that right now, although those who traffic in conspiracy theories tend not to be disinfected by sunlight or anything else. They'll just keep on charging, and we'll see how it shakes out for the president. But now I think he's going to regain his footing on this issue.
Juan?
Well, he could have released it himself, and he still can. But he now, I think, because, as Meredith pointed out, knew he was going to lose. And I think it's exposed some fracture within the MAGA base, obviously the dispute with Marjorie Taylor Greene. But I think the larger point here is if the vote goes through tomorrow, what does the Senate do? Is the Senate going to approve of this? And then, once the Senate approves it, in the Justice Department, is what released going to be the whole thing, or is it just going to be some without Trump's name and just those names of those Democrats that you pointed out? He has asked for more investigations. Then it's more distraction, more static that could take away from his effort to talk about affordability.
Meredith, they've already put out thousands and thousands of pages already. There are some that are redacted. The House wants all the files. They would have to vote for this. The Senate would pass it, and then the president would sign it. He said today he's going to do that.
Yeah, he said today that he would do this, but you know that's something that I heard from White House officials when I was talking to them about it. Is they feel like they've released everything they feel like they can. So I think one of the questions is what is left in these files.
Maybe we'll see. Last thing, affordability. You heard the president talk about it in that McDonald's speech, Roger. If you look at this chart of inflation, this is what the White House wants to focus on. And that is the red in President Trump, the blue in President Biden, and where the red is now. Now, obviously, people feel things in the grocery store, and prices haven't come down all the way on certain items, but they look at this chart as telling their story.
And you heard that from the president tonight, speaking at the event that was McDonald's. Notice, it wasn't at a think tank. It wasn't American Enterprise Institute. It was McDonald's, everyday Americans. And he spent time talking about that's where we were speaking to the American people when he was running for office. And his message will be a full-throated defense of what he was doing. And don't look here, but I've also reduced tariffs on those things that have actually seen price increases like bananas, coffee, and beef.
Could we see him at the fry machine again? With the salt and,
That was a pretty iconic moment I remember from the campaign trail. He's clearly the biggest fan of McDonald's.
Yes, 100%. Panel, thanks so much. Rolling with the punches.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.